Hi, good evening, and welcome back to everyone. Hope you all are doing well. So we'll wait for some 5 minutes so that everyone can join. Then let's start today's session. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, yes. Good evening and welcome back. So I just thought like 5 minutes for you to start so that everyone will be available. So I can see we have 25 around participants. So now we can start. Okay. So I'm just going to share my desktop. Okay. So today we have planned like. I hope yesterday example you have done so that examples also means I would explain one more time and that constructor injections DI with constructor. Then now we'll move towards the annotation based DI. Okay, so that means the auto wiring features, auto wiring which is Java based configuration, not through the XML. Also, we'll cover the bean life cycle and then finally the bean scope. So the core part will be at least completed. Next week onwards, we'll have the Hibernate concepts and Hibernate and Spring MVC with boot. And next week after next to next week, we will plan for the REST applications, REST API, and the last week microservices. So we have planned accordingly. I have just seen your curriculum. So based on that, the core part, then the ORM technique, then the MVC with the boot. So once this gets over, then we'll process the next topic, that is Spring REST, which is in huge demand nowadays. Spring REST applications actually needed, not even Spring Boot applications directly. So the service-oriented architectures we have discussed yesterday, SOA, and that is what more recognized things nowadays. It's a most common thing. And microservice. So multiple REST applications. So through some database CRUD applications like MySQL or with the MongoDB and JWT if it is there. So Java means this token based, JSON based token that I would like to prefer to do that. So, okay, so that I would like to do it. So that's planned for the next upcoming week. So that's planned for the next few weeks that this JWT along with the microservice, Eureka server, multiple microservice, and all those things. I'm just planning to do it. Okay. So today we'll have these things, DI with constructor. I hope this example you have tried yesterday, which I've shared to you, and study the examples. Okay, okay. So yeah, yeah. So that once one more time, before going for the auto wiring, that is without XML things. So before going to that, at least one overview walkthrough with that program. So I also have done that example. So we'll share with you. Then the auto wiring, then the bean life cycle, init and destroy, scope of the bean. We have singleton and prototype. So those concepts are important for the core part of it. Okay, so we have seen string is basically a framework and it's framework of framework where we have solutions to more complex uh, issues. We can achieve those solutions using the frameworks because we have the API things and inbuilt support of library files. And when you add those Spring library, you can use their methods directly and get those things applications further you can develop on that basis. So it's a complete application itself where we have to just connect, integrate those aspects and get those output easily. We can manage that. not writing the code from the starting onwards. Already it's available to us. We need to know the interface names and classes and the methods to integrate that applications. So that's making the life very easier actually. If you go with the high-end technology, the complexity is not that much. Why? Because and the code will also reduced. So the Spring Boot, if we go with this way, Spring Boot and Spring Data JPA, okay, that thing also I just would like to mention that Hibernate, when we'll do it next week, the examples with Hibernate, but of course we will implement the Hibernate using the Spring Data JPA. So that is what industry required, preferred things, Spring Data JPA. So on the top of Hibernate, Spring Data JPA is working. So the code, at least a few lines of code is necessary for that. And you can compare with implementing the Hibernate and with the JPA, the difference of it. So obviously the choice is better choice is Spring Data JPA. And definitely that will work on that. So database, we can take MySQL or Oracle or DB2 or MongoDB, NoSQL database also, or in-memory database that is called HIS2 database. So various database options are open, but that we'll do in the next week. So completing the core part today, DI with constructors, as one of the associates had said that they means, completed these things, but many of you have not mentioned anything, but still just going with the example of study things. I'm just closing this one now. I hope that chat box is there now. So please remind me also because that chat box may be blocking some part of it. Okay, so the DI with constructor, as per the case study given, it was asked for this customer.java. It has this CST ID. I'm just going to open that case study also in that parallel to that. One second. It's in the folder study still. So we will cover the case studies so that you will get the understanding better with the topics, upcoming topics. Okay, so this one I have shared to you. Okay, so it's asking for the customer and the membership. Two things it is actually there. Customer, we have CUST ID, name, email ID, contact number. Okay, so these things, customer ID, customer name, email ID, contact number. So for those who have still not done, yes, 1 minute. So those who have still not seen or done these things, request them to look into it because these are the basic starting things with the Spring, and you have to understand why these things is taken this way. Because Java we could have done in our Java also we can write the code, but here the advantage is those things you must able to pick up those things. So that's why one more time with these concepts I will explain for this XML things so that you can easily understand the concepts and then we can move towards the auto wiring feature. So here this customer ID and these members are private. Private means this cannot be directly accessed outside this class. So we need the public methods. Okay, so the public methods, what is the role of the public method? These methods will be accessible outside the class. So we can access those methods, get cust ID, set cust ID, those things we can access. Okay, so the getter setters, as we know that these are the reusable components. Multiple objects can use the same methods and all. So this and this overriding features, because we are doing the toString to return the this customer ID, name, email ID, and contact number. So that format, it's auto format. If you right click it, simply go to the source, and when you click on this getter setters will create, also toString is there. So those features are there. You don't have to write those boilerplate code. It's available actually. Just simply click on the Eclipse ID or STS, you will be able to generate that code. So it will return it, finally will print these values to console. Okay. So these are the getter setter. I hope that this is okay with everyone. Now the next one, we have the membership. So what it has, a membership ID, type, visits per year, and the customer. So that means this membership has this customer dependency. So membership, we have these fields, and in this case, membership.java, we have membership ID, visits per year, customer, membership type, and one more field. Okay, so that's what this customer is here. So these are the dependency of this class and corresponding getter setter, but here the constructor is used with the fields so that we can show you this example with the constructor injection along with the setter injection. So this as per the requirement given here, design constraint customer class and members should be present. This one here, create a class called driver. Customer has to set the membership via constructor injection. So injecting the value through the constructor. Okay, so that's why this XML file, we will use the constructor injecting the value through the constructor, not through the property, setters, in case of membership. So through membership only, customer we can have still setters because we have taken the getter setters there. So setter injections is there, but this membership, when we are going to have injecting those value, we will use the constructor. So for this purpose, here simply we have this XML file. Okay, the XML file bean.xml. Here, this one customer class, we have package name. So this is the package name com.spring.app.customer. So this package, and this is the class, and object name is custobj. So this is what they've asked to create in terms of the documents, and always in the real-time scenario, you will get some documented things for coding purpose, because everything is fixed and finalized. Means that is discussed things. It's not we start doing the coding and then we have to make changes. Then the project will not be successful. So I hope you understand the software development life cycle also and the agile methodology process. So these things are very important, because only doing the coding is not enough. You must knowing the project management perspective, integrated planning required, plus this kind of the design patterns, agile methodology. All these are the contributing success factor for the successful project executions. So this has to be taken into account that the documents, if it's asking for these things, we should not change that. Okay, until unless it is required. So that's what the requirement happens. Moreover, it is like test cases are written on the basis of that. Yes, one more topic which is we need to cover on the last week or somewhere in one of the sessions, we'll cover the JUnit and Mockito also, the testing things. Okay, so we have a lot of curriculums actually, which will actually do one by one in next coming few sessions. Okay, to complete the end-to-end with the Spring Core, to Spring MVC, to Spring REST, to Spring Microservices, along with the JUnit and Mockito. So those are things we'll cover. Just this week we have started. So I want you to go with these concepts first, then we'll focus the next concepts. So here this properties, here this one is value. This is the setter injections which we calling it. These are the dependencies which we are having the injecting with the value in the XML file. These headers are important. If you don't write these headers, it will not recognize this ID, class, name, and all those things because these are the schema files provided means beans.xsd, which is given in the springframework.org schema. So these things you have to copy it from the spring.io header, or you can copy from other sources also, but these lines are fixed one. Okay, now this bean is over. So here you can see these beans and closing with the beans. Inside that we have the multiple bean. So bean here, this is an object of this class, and this one we are having the setting those value. Okay, so this is over. Now second one, this is what they are asking, that membership has to be set in with the constructor injection. So this is we are doing here. App.membership, this is the class name. Okay, constructor arg, here we need to write the constructor argument, value, then type, then the index. Because the constructors, we cannot make this before and after and the data types. Yes, type is also optional. If you give the index, that is also enough. Okay, so this I have just deleted that things means because to explain these concepts. So here we can use the type int. So you remember this membership class where we have this constructor int string visits per year customer. These are the four parameters we are having. So we are going to pass this value here. So args 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, last one, there will be no value because it's referred to this object. So when we are going with the IOC, we will call this object, automatically it will call this one. Okay, so this is going to make the objects, here only one object I am creating. You can create multiple objects to manage your requirements as per the requirements, but just showing this customer object and membership object. Here we are doing the constructor things. Okay, so DI with constructor. And IOC, inversion of control, it will access through the get bin this object. First it read the bin.xml. So the role of it is to instantiate, read that file, XML file, instantiate, wire it with membership, with customer, and then configure those things, extract the details, maintain the life cycle. All those processes are done by the IOC container. Currently we have application context interface, so which we are doing with the driver class. Application context, new class path XML application context, this class, it will read the bin.xml file. Membership, that is the class name, object ms, typecast it, and get bin membership OB. So get bin will get this one. Once it is there, now we will simply print the SOP, so that whatever it has in this through the object, it will able to print ms. So we have the string returning, right, to a string. So the value we are going to get with that. So if you have done it, it's okay. And if you have not done, please try today itself. Okay, first time you see the code and work with that, but next time try to write the code in the same way. Okay, because don't fear anything. Coding is something, it happens, okay, this is code, what I can do, can I write or not? That thing happens. But if you start doing it, those hesitations will be over. And what will happen? Maximum error will come, right? But at least to debug that error, it will help you to get the understanding better. Next time, same thing you can resolve in within minutes. So this is a learning process actually. But avoiding the code and going with these things, okay, I will do it later, it will not successful because everything will be later on. Okay, the topics will be moving ahead, and the previous backlogs will create a stress, so that the normal thing also will not be able to do it. So that's why we have to practice more, and try to do it. First time you can copy it, second time without seeing it, third time perfectly without doing it. So at least 2-3 times practicing will serve the purpose. So these concepts are simply Java concepts. Only thing we have introduced in between the XML file, which actually we are passing those objects and their value actually assigning with the setter injection through the constructor injection. So these things are called dependency injection. And these dependencies are injected now. We have to get through the IOC container because bin object has to be instantiated, assemble and all those processes. Spring Framework has provided us that environment. So IOC container, basically application context in specific to about that, what is IOC container, that application context, which is running on the top of the bin factory. So this bin factory has this get bin method. Yesterday you have seen that, and based on that you can do it. Okay, so this example I've covered. Now we will go with the next topic, that is auto wiring. Now here we will create the examples with some similar examples, but with the Java configurations. Okay, so it's called auto wiring. It's a name itself is self-explanatory that one bin connect with other bin, but these things, remember the reference things, that reference of customer membership, those things. Now we will do the auto wiring. So just close this one, take a new package. Okay, so in this main Java, right click here, first create a package, and package is necessary in the project environment. You cannot do anything in the one package or default package, because there are multiple associates will be working on the same projects. Everyone will have their own packages. They will be doing end-to-end story point on that. Okay, so let's create com dot simply learn dot auto wiring. Okay, so here we will going to use basically the annotation, Java annotation. Okay, so as I said to you, annotations are basically alternative of the XML thing. Java given the annotation so that XML is not required at this stage. Okay, so for that we will have @ component. We have to write two classes. Those customer membership we will write @ component. So few annotations I will show you and will explain in that example through that. So we can take off the concept, let's say. And what is the advantage of this annotations? Runtime value we can assign. In XML, if you have observed, all these values are just a static value, but we want some value to be runtime. XML will not be able to solve my problem. So that's why the annotations are mandatory things for this Spring applications to learn, but gradually step-by-step approach, right? So let's create a new class, and class name, let's take employee and passport. Okay, so we can have that employee and passport kind of association. So let's create passport passport.java, and there is no method, main method required here. So this we are going to perform Java configuration way. Okay. So you have heard of it? Anything you studied it? This type of auto binding thing so far? No. Java annotations? Okay, 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 good. No problem, no problem. So see, it is also very easy. First, we will write a class and make it at the rate component. So in the previous things, so C is capital. In the previous or this string stereotype thing there. Okay, so this you have to import, and this imports is working. Why? Because in the pom.xml I have this string context. Otherwise, it will not accept those things. Okay, so this is the component. If you take the mouse, indicates that annotated class is a component. Such classes are considered as candidate for auto detection when using annotation-based configuration and class path scanning. So we have two classes earlier, membership, customer. How it will auto detect? For that, Java has given at the rate component, indicates that annotated class is a component. Such classes are considered as candidate for auto detection. So when we are going with the Java-based configuration, it will detect passport and employee each. So this is why the component is given. And now here, full of abstractions are there. Internally, they are managing those code. Okay, so this is my component class. Let's take some variables like we can take passport, not many, only one or two, so that we can explain from that. Let's say passport number, passport issue date, passport expiry date. So I want this date to be like a dynamic date, which is not possible in case of XML. So the annotation is going to solve this problem. So let's take variables similar to that line which we have done. Okay, so you can identify that also. Let's see. Except few annotations, things are similar actually. Let's see this. Passport number. So follow the camel case naming conventions. Then take one more variable, private. What is at the rate component? At the rate component, because we are going to have passport and employee, they will discover each other. Auto detect. Okay. This is annotated class. For this purpose, we are using such classes are considered as a candidate for auto detection when using annotation-based configuration and class path scanning. So when we do the scan, component scan, so that means it will scan this package name. By default, this package they will scan and they will search for the component class. So that is the class which we have made. Normally, like employee and address, we have to write the annotation at the rate component. This is my component, this class. But there are two component class we are going to create. How they will detect each other because with this at the rate component. So let me do it, then I will explain it better, okay, in that perspective. So it will writing the code, then further we'll explain, okay. Auto detection things, immediately it's not feasible to explain immediately over there. So let me create two component class and the component scan, then you can I can explain with that what it's going to do it. But theory wise I can tell you 10 times it will not work, okay. Yes, yes, because if I say this is auto detection and all those things, so let's write the code, so then from that I will explain. So give me a few minutes. Okay, so private and take like date. So I'm going to take two dates. One date is for the entry date, starting passport issue date. Okay, so let's make date uh, of issue. Okay, so passport date, and I will make it current date. Okay, and one more variable, private date. It's the expiry date. So similar line, date of expiry. This expiry date, suppose I want that after 100 days, passport should expire. For let's say for these things, or 80 days or 85 days. So that dynamic values I can do with these annotations on. Okay, so now these things are done, and yes, what you are asking? Yes. Okay. Okay, nicely you have observed. I was just about to write the getter setters. So Java dot date, right? Util. So date imports is in the util. Java util class you have studied. It has two parts. One is with the collection framework, and the second part is very important. I internationalizations, purpose localizations, math functions, lot of functions, utility methods, the other related utilities, calculations. So utility is a big package in Java, and those things API is fully available in Java. If you right click it and go to the open declaration, you can see their open source code. So if you're studying Java in that way, you can easily understand what is interface, class. Just right click that things, those things, collections framework. You can see this navigation and also. Okay, that is not feasible right now. We'll do it later on. So now the getter setters. So we will have these getter setters. So go to the declaration, source code. So here we will use component, component scan, autowire, or all those few things. We will few annotations will use it. Okay, so then I will explain the concept of it. So source, getter setters, select all the three here, generate it. Okay, so this getter setter is created, and for returning the value, simply we can do this string return to string. So then finally we print that. So source generate to string. Okay, so this will give me the to string method. So this is my passport class, and now I will do with the employee. So that I also will make component. Okay, so passport, and here we will use the auto binding feature. For why we will use, I will show you that also, and you will easily identify comparing with the previous example. Okay, so now we'll take one more class, new, and passport is there not to employee. So employee has passport like that. Okay, so take employee, employee, right? Correct. Finish this one. It is also component. We have component service repository. In the MVC, we will write that way also. Service service, where we'll write the business logic repository, where we'll use the JPA. So these components means annotations are given such nicely given and integrated that simply write it, it will connect with that. So the internal aspects are there, so abstract to us. Okay, so component. Now here we will have some variables. So private int type ID, EMP ID. take one more variable name. So private string emp name. Okay. And third one, let's see, this is interesting. Please look at here. Private, we have passport, right? Passport type, take pass obj. Now this one, in it is my passport. Here we will do it auto wiring. Okay. So what we will write at the rate auto wired. Why it is done? Because these are reference things. We will do the auto wired. If once I do it, what is the advantage over here? We don't have to do the this dependency injections for this particular object because automatically it will setter injection will be internally will be done. So setter injections will be given for this, but this will automatically happen with this auto wired thing. Okay, just wait. I will show you that also. Import this annotations, auto wired annotations. So the advantage here, you will see in the next example that we will not inject this value. Automatically, internally, it will map it, those values to the setter. Okay, so in previous example to this example, the difference is this is a component class which will auto detect this class through the component scan. Then I use the configurations like component scan. So that time it will understand that this package is there. In this package, these are the candidates for auto detection, these two classes. And auto wired means here you can see mass constructor field setter method config method to be auto wired by string dependency injection. So this is alternative of inject annotations adding required versus. So this auto wired will give me the advantage where we don't have to write the setters injections explicitly for it. Okay, so currently this two class and create the setters here, getter setters. So we will have this source, generate getters and setters. So now we will generate it. It is created, correct? Just make it on the top of it. Employee ID, employee name. Okay. So we have this ID, name, and this three things. Third thing is passport OBJ. So employee has passport. So this I have done basically auto wiring. These two are normal. So then we can create the Java configurations. Here because we don't have the XML file. So now that question you asked, so you will see the reply in this component things here. So we'll create one class, Java class, new class, and give the name like it's a configuration file. So application config.java. Okay. This is the XML. Instead of XML, I am writing this Java configuration file. Okay. So earlier when we write the XML that in the resource folder, now this Java configurations I will do it in this SRC folder right now. Okay. So here we will use @configuration. Okay, 1 minute. Just remove this error. Yes, I'm just showing it. 1 minute. complete it. Context, right? So I'm writing the configuration and component scan. So we have this annotations uh, configuration. So org string framework dot context dot annotations dot configuration. Okay, and one more, that is component scan, which I was discussing earlier. It tells uh, that Java, this is the configuration class where we will configure those beans. Then we will use @component scan. Now this is auto detection. You can see here. Component scan. These two annotations. Context component scan. So the starting one, like this is component. This is component class. Application configuration. This is my configuration class. So you take the mouse, it will tell you indicate that a class declare one or more beans method and may be processed by Spring container to generate bean definition or service requested by these beans at runtime. This is directly the concepts are taken from the Spring environment. You don't rush to go with any other definition. It's a direct definitions given. Okay, so this means we are going to configure more than one bean methods. So you can see this is written here that a class declares one or more @bean methods. So you remember in XML what we have done? We have taken bean ID, etc. So we configure two beans. Now these things will be using @bean method because this is the alternative of this class, is alternative of the XML. So here we will configurations means we are going to have more than one bean method. Then component scan means where you will auto detect those components. So here you can write in the bracket com.simplylearn.autobiring, or even if you don't write, it will look for this particular package. So it will scan. See this one, configure component scan directive to use configuration class provides support parallel with the string XML context elements. So it will scan the base package and auto detect this employee and passport. So here you can see this one indicate that annotated class is a component. Such class is considered candidate for auto detection when using annotation based configuration and class path scanning. So this class path scanning, when we are doing it here, component scan, so it will auto detect these two component classes. Okay, because this bean method which I am going to write, I need to use the @configurations, and @components are the classes which will be having two independent classes for this has a relations which we have. So we used to give the name like @component, and this @component, where it is available, we have to use component scan. So component scan, it will scan the base package, and in that it will auto detect those component class. Okay. Yes, what you were asking earlier is not there. I guess it's employee class. 1 minute. Getter setter for EMP name is not there. EMP name. Oh, I've not created EMP name. Okay. Oh, thanks. Maybe getter setter I created, but it's not created, right? So I selected, I think, but it's not done. Okay. So it's created for EMP ID, but not for all. Source, generate getter setter, EMP name, and pass obj, right? That one. Okay. It's okay. That I would have noticed that time when I was connecting that. Okay, so I've selected, but only EMP ID taken, right? Yes. Okay, thank you. So this So this is simple annotations because we are writing two classes. They are component classes. These classes to be auto detected through the component scan. So this is my configuration file. This is alternative of the XML. Here we are doing the configuration and we will write @bin methods. So that means like that. One or more bin methods I am going to write. And this scan means it will scan the base package, this package, to detect, auto detect employee and passport. So it's all are internally linked. So full of abstract. Okay, here you can get the original definition. Internally, their Spring framework is managing those things. So you have to simply use component, @component, and finally @component scan. In this, you can specify also. If there are more packages or some different packages, you can write com dot simply learn dot some dot star or asterisk, so that it will go to that package to detect the other bin methods and those components classes. So it will able to discover that. Okay, so that will see that bin method, how to write @bin. So in XML, what we have used, bin ID and class name. So here it's a Java configuration. So obviously we cannot write like that. For that we will use some method. Let's say type of employee. So public employee, return type employee method. Okay, it will have the return type. Now just returning it. This going to be @bin. Okay. So this @bin, same thing which we do in this XML file bin ID name. Here we will use the annotation @bin because we have to set those values, right? Those values. So we are making those employee method and @bin indicate that a method produces a bin to be managed by a Spring container. So this in XML, I am not starting this. Hopefully you are aware of that. These things we are doing in this bin ID and all those things. Since it is in XML, @configuration. Okay. @configuration means we are going to write more than one bin method. Okay. Indicate that a class declare one or more bin methods. So when we are writing the bin methods for configuration purpose, so because bin is what? Method produce a bin to be managed by a Spring container. So it will produce the bin. And if you remove these things, it will not able to connect with this. So when we write @configuration, that means this class is going to have more than one bin method. Okay, understood? So annotations is actually, I understand the issues like annotations are interconnecting with all other things, and these things makes our lives very easy because at least 5-6 lines of codings are saved. Otherwise, you have to write those things for getting connecting with one class to another class. For that Java coding, you have to write. So they made those things very high level of abstraction. @configuration, that means it indicates this class will have more than one bin method because we have passport and employee, right? So you have to set those values or not. So in XML, what we have done, setter injections we have given. Now here, how the dependency will be set in. So we have taken the @bin method. For the employee and for the passport also, one more bin method I will take and set those values. But I will not set the value for auto wiring things. So that's why just let me complete it. So I will explain these concepts on this few things. But currently we have used few annotations, not much, at the rate component and at the rate configurations. It is linked with at the rate bin method. This means this component scan will automatically detect in the package itself this employee and passport, because I am using the employee and the passport. So it will auto detect. How it will auto detect? It knows that where is the component. For that, it has to search for the package and it will auto detect. Okay, so these are the interlinking with the annotation. So here, this one is the configuration class, whatever we have done in this here. So we have to manage here in that different way through at the rate bin. So we created one bin method employee, and then in this we will create employee bin. So create employee bin. Okay, so employee bin, simply employee employee small. This is naming conventions, or you can write E1, E2, anything, equals to new employee EMPLO. Okay, spell is correct, right? So this is bin, then we'll do the sector based injection. Okay, employee dot set EMP ID, right? So set any ID. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's set up 1, 2, 3. Now study this example. We are doing the setter in the XML file, but now we are doing with the annotation. We are making more than one bin method, one for address, one for employee, one for passport. So for that we have to write at the rate configuration, and at the rate component scan means it will scan that package and auto detect those component class passport and employee. Okay, so that's why this thing. So we are not going with the XML, but we have to certainly need to write the Java configuration. So this setter injections given. Okay, now set employee name also we have to do it. Employee dot set EMP name, right? So Ajay Kumar. So this is set employee name, and this is similar to in this setter injection. So I will write so that you can easily understand that things also, right? It is similar to value equals to. Okay. Otherwise in XML we would have write like this. So instead of that we are doing this. Okay. So I am going with one step to next step connecting, try to connect it. So if you follow it, you will able to identify. So these things we are not doing it XML way, we are doing @bean now. And this is my bean method, instantiate it, then setter injections, and this is similar to, I'm not writing, I hope you understood, right? Again, property name, EMP name, value equals to Ajay Kumar, so like that. And last one, employee dot, what is the last thing left? Set pass obj. And here we'll pass the object of that which we will create later on, not now, because here we will create one bean method that is going to be the pass obj here. Okay, so that method I have not still written, so that I have to pass. Okay, so another bean method I have to write, right? One is written for the employee, another bean I have to write. So let's say I can write that method. So I will use pass, similar line only. Set pass obj, take pass obj. Obj bean method. Okay, this I still not created, we'll do it. Return, obviously employee. Now this line, because of the auto wiring, is not required. So it will save my code here. The below statement is not required due to auto wiring. Okay, so you know that in the auto wiring, what we do is that simply in the employee we have said this is pass obj is having auto wiring. So in this case, the setter injection will automatically happen. So in the configuration, this things we have to do with this too, but these setters will not have to do it. So this is what the role of the auto wiring, that it will auto wire itself without writing. Auto wiring is a pure English term, guys. So don't get confused anything. It's like one bin to another bin. It's called auto wiring. So we pass that reference equals to like that. Those things are not required. In the bin we pass that reference, right? That's not required because we are using auto wiring. One bin wire with another bin. Okay. So auto wiring means this here. Passport obj we have auto wired. In normal case, this is my reference one. So how you connect in that? We create the beans in XML. If you have seen here, XML bean.xml. What we do is we write this CST obj and then we call it with the reference, right? These things we don't have to do it. Why? Because auto wiring, it will auto wiring one bin to another bin without the setter injections. Okay, so this is the advantage. This below statement is not required due to the auto wiring. I've still not created this bean object. So let me complete this as well. So @bean. So first this one is over again because @configuration. So we will create one more @bean. Okay, and here passport is there, right? So public passport pass this method which I have written just now, obj. Okay. So this return here passport and return statement. Yes, you were asking this one. Your name's not appearing SP1519. So this look at here. This is my bin 1. This is my bin 2. Multiple bin method. So I use this configuration. Now, what you do in the XML? We pass the reference. Isn't so? We connect one bin to another bin with the reference. Right? Here we will not do it. Simply because of the auto wiring, it will internally wire it. Okay. So the role played by the auto wiring features that here in the employee, this auto wiring is done passport pass obj. For this, I am not explicitly going to do the setters, setting the values. Only for this one. These two I have to do it. But auto wired means it will automatically wire the other beans without the setters thing. Okay. Yes, I will again just let me complete also. So we'll quickly do these things. It's simply fully, you can see that in the previous example in the beams, how we are wiring. We are wiring here, right? These things are we doing here? No, because we are not required to pass these things, setting things. No reference things required. But it is, remember, we will do only in case of that rapid, means has a relation. That is what we will do. We will not do with everything, means all the fields. Only that is the object of, in class B, we are passing the object of A. That will I will auto wire. That means one bin will auto wire with others without setter injections. So it saves our lot of line of code at least. Okay, maybe one or two line, but that's okay. But it's auto wired things. So this is the annotation Java based. Otherwise, you can write with the XML and do this. That's not a problem. But Java configuration, Java will say like we don't use the XML. We will use the auto wiring things. So auto wired here immediately it will not require this line. Otherwise, you have to write this line also. Okay, then only it will understand this. What is this class employee? Employee has a passport, right? So has a relation you have to pass na that bin. So here we will not do this. This I commented specifically. I written this, but I've commented that these two are required, but these things we will not do it because of the auto wire. It will internally manage by the container. Okay, now passport also I have to complete, but here why I have taken this also date things to make you understand like we can do the dynamic value. In XML we have to pass the value which is fixed value, but here we can have the current date or date of expiry. Those things, some calculations we can do it. So that is the additional advantage which we have. So let's see this passport. So passport, and following the naming convention, passport new passport. Okay, spelling. So we have used this passport new equals to let's see, new passport, and then those date things we have taken. Have you done the date, local date, etc., calendar class, etc. in Java? Date calendar, calculating the date after 10 days, 5 days. We have simple date format class. Date you have not done. Okay. So a scanner class, scanner dates, etc. because simple date class, calendar class, local date class, how will calculate the dates? Okay, these topics are very common. Date things you need to calculate some. Now I will write that things will explain in that itself. Just give me 2 minutes because I want the passport what I have taken here dates. So I want this to be current date and let's say 80 days or 85 days or 84 days after that it will expire. Okay, so I have to use the calendar class. Okay, there are alternatives. Java has many options. It's not that this class, but there are Java 8 we have local date class. Java 1.7 we have date class, which gives us long date. Like today is what is it? 12 June, right? It will give 12 June 2022 and time milliseconds, and then IST Greenwich Mean Time GMT. So we don't need that long date. So what we'll do it? We will go with simple date format to customize the date in DDMMYY. So that methods are given in simple date format class. So we'll customize that date, long date into DDMMYY or YYMMDD or whatever things. Java given one more class that is called simple date format class. And in Java 8 they brought in a new class called local date class. So more changes in the date things we can do it. Anyhow, just let me write these things. You will understand that's not a big things. It's API based. Java is also fully API based things. So we'll take date. This date will return me the current date. If you SOP this thing, you will get the current date, but it's a long format. Uh, uh, Today date. Uh, uh, T1 or something. It's okay. Naming conventions that must follow, and that habit should be developed in starting things. Today date, new date. This is Java date class, and obviously you have to import. It will return, the current date, but it will return up to GMT 5.50 or something. It's long date if you SOP those things. So now let it return. We will convert to DDMMYY later on. So the passport current date I have taken. Now we will use the calendar class. So I'm writing some comments so that you can understand. Calendar class to add let's say 80 days or 84 days to current date. So that will be considered as, let's say, expiry date. Expiry date. So it's a dynamic date I'm trying. Okay. So the calendar class. Java has a calendar class which has the options to add the 84 days or 90 days, whatever, from the current date. So the today date is 12 June, and it will say that your password will expire in somewhere after 3 months, for example, only. So it will show that particular date. But that date will be in a big format, so we will convert to DDMMYY. We will use another class when calling that type. Okay, so this date, so let's use the calendar. Calendar class, no, calendar, CALENDAR. Okay, cal equals to calendar dot get instance method is there. So here in Java, you can see the date class. It's a Java date class. Okay, it's a very old class actually. represent a specific standing time. So all this date and so date class constructors, several constructors are there. Some of the deprecated methods are there. So this is my date class. This is the calendar class. Okay, abstract class. This one is abstract class. Implement serializable, clonable, comparable. So this is calendar class and this is static method. So get instance. It's a static one. So return type calendar. So we are doing get instance. So I hope you understand the static meaning, right? Static you understand, no? Okay. So that's a calendar. Okay, no problem. So static method. So we access it with the class name dot or abstract class name dot. So that is this become a class member. Then set time cal dot set time date. So you will pass this today date. It's already taken it. So it will take today's date means 12 June 2022. Then we'll add it cal dot add. So what is this coming int this field int amount. So add I would try to add not this one. Let's see. I want to add some date here. So calendar 84 days, right? That's what I planned. So here 84 calendar dot date is there. And this is constant. Okay. Any method with having static and final that is become constant. Okay, so this is a field number indicating day of month. This is synonymous. The first day of the month value is 1. So they have given this constant as 5. So I've called this calendar day of month, day of year. All these are constant. Static and final when we use become constant. So this one calendar date 84. So it will add that. And finally the expiry date we'll be able to calculate. Okay, so date let's say expiry date. So this 84 once will get, I will add to that get this thing. So expiry some name expiry date. I just making this additional things so that some logic can be added in this file. Otherwise, straight away just doing it was not good. So I just try to add these things. Okay. So expiry date equals to cal, which is we have dot get time. So this we have calculated, and what is the rule of get time? Returns representing this code time value. Okay, so it will represent that particular difference, expiry date, get time. So we'll get time is actually going to return me that after the 84 days. So expiry date cal, first we have added it, then we are receiving that after 84, what is that particular date. So it will get into this one. And that will print into set this value in the setters. Okay. Now this one is passport things. After that we have to do the setters injection, right? So we have passport dot setter injections. So set pass number, that we will set passport number let's say any number, give it 0, Okay. So this is passport number and that dynamic value which I was talking about, passport dot set date of issue. So that is current date. Then passport dot set date of expiry. So date of expiry we have taken into this date, expiry date. It's already taken. So I'm writing the comments over here also so that you can read this line. The below comments like this one. Below two setters cannot be used in an XML config file as they are dynamic values. So here I could have done directly, but I just wanted to show this things calculated with the calendar instance taken, set time, the current time is set. Then we've taken the expiry time after 84 days, and then we are adding it. Okay, so this is not possible in the XML config. The case study which we have done in the bean.xml, all fixed values are given. And in dynamic values which is there, it's not possible. Okay, so we have to go with the annotation based. And annotation is so simple. Here it's like at the rate bean methods we are creating. Now this bean methods, two bean methods, that means this configurations will tell about it. In this at the rate component scan will scan that particular package. You can pass in the bracket com.simplylearn. What is that? Auto varying. Or if you're not writing, it will by default it looks in that package itself to auto detect two component classes, employee and passport, so that in the configurations we are using the employee and we are using the passport, so it will able to auto detect with that package component. Otherwise when we write these things it has to find out where it is there, otherwise how will we get that? So these annotations are interconnected with that purpose. Okay, and return. So return passport. So one more time I explain this auto wired things. The has a relations which is there, we have auto wired it, so that in the configuration we don't have to inject a dependency. It will internally inject a dependency, injects to the setter. Okay, I don't have to write the reference type or something. Automatically it will able to do it internally. So the has a relations. So instead this one in the applications config.java. Here I have not written this line. This is not required. Otherwise, I have to explicitly pass this thing. How it will understand that you are connecting this one, this pin you are wiring with this reference. So it will not understand without writing this line. But if I am not writing, then what is the alternative? So it is auto wired. Auto wiring. It's a two word joining together. Means passport, employee. So employee has a passport. So employee has a passport, you have to configure it or not in the configuration file that it's having this reference. So we don't have to do it that thing. So here if you see this particular definition, mark a constructor field. So this is annotation citing required optional semantics. Auto-wide constructors, all those concepts are there. Filled before any config method such as config does. So auto-wide parameters multiple. So anywhere like next time onwards, when we are going with MVC and all, so controller service repository. So we'll in controller we will auto wire to the service we will auto wire to the repository. So then I can use their methods. So that means those connecting with next bins we will fix with the auto wiring features. Okay, so it's here because of these things I will not write this line. If you remove the auto wire, you have to write this line. Otherwise, it will not understand how the employee means passport set these things. Obviously, it is required to be understood or not. Otherwise, how will connect it? Has a relation, so employee has a passport. So this line is indicating that only. But if I do the auto wire, I don't have to explicitly write. Implicitly, it will happen. Implicitly means internally. Explicitly means externally I have to write. Okay. So this is what the final thing. And now we need a driver class, obviously the main methods. Without that, we can't do it or anything. For that, Spring Framework given another IOC. So this time we are not going to get the XML file. For that, they have given one more interface, abstract class something, configurable application context. So here we will add one more driver class, new class, that is driver class. We can write the name like that, no problem. It has a main method. In this main method, we will have the IOC thing. So here, what we will do it, application context was there, no? So configurable application context spelling error, I think so. CONFIGURABLE application context. So configurable application context in the context itself. So it's not showing here. GUR. Let's see writing it first. The spelling mistake, otherwise spring dot context I needed. Okay, equals to new, not coming. Yes, no, it's so otherwise it will, you have to write a long names. There are chances of a spelling error. So new control space, you will get this one automatically. What happened? New annotations, something like that. Annotation. Yeah. That's yeah. I'm trying this one. Annotations, config application context, right? So this one, huh? Yes. Config application context. Yes, you correct. So guys, why I have taken this one, because it's not XML file. So XML part that previously what we have done, those things. If you remember, we were using this one. Any DI things, if you take it sectors one in the driver class path XML, because this is XML file, but this is not a XML file now. It's a Java file. So this is not going to accept this one. It is specifically for XML. That's what the advantage of the framework. They've given for every purpose, they have given new set of classes and all interfaces and all abstract classes. So this will accept the annotated class. Okay, so this here we will pass the application uh, config, right? Config dot class, because this is Java class. For that, see this sequence: open declarations, extends application context. Okay, this interface extends this interface. So application context sub interface is this one. And why it is used? Because we are going to get this one. So factory pattern accordingly, this one, annotations config application context. So this is the class name. Annotation config application extends generic application context, implements annotations config registry, like that. So these classes are there for the Spring framework to accept this one. Okay, so instead of application context, we will use configurable application context. And toString we have done, so here we have to do the SOPs and get-bin things. We are earlier doing it, right? So same thing here. We are going to have employee has a passport, right? So employee equals to context dot get bin. Okay, and here in this we will get the bin name is that employee. Okay, employee dot class. So yes, it's accepted, right? Employee class. So here get-bin employee class. Where is that employee class? This one, at the rate component, this one. So this we are passing in the get-bin. In XML, what we pass the object of it. So here we is the employee dot class object. So we are adding this employee context dot this one, and it's better that we can typecast this one, so it is not asking employee. So this is done now. Okay, SOPs are not written, right? SOP employee ID and also EMP ID. Na? So what is taken in that employee? Oh, break. Okay. Okay, break at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. I will complete. Give you 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Okay, then we'll go with the break. Just completing it and debug it if anything is there. So that's what. Okay, so give me 5-10 minutes. We'll go with the break. So this auto variable, because this long coding, multiple classes and all configurations, it takes time. If you want, I can have these examples already. I can show you. Break on 9:30. Okay, no problem. As you wish, or any time like you feel comfortable. I have no issues. Yes. So I will complete 9:30. Will be too late actually. Student. Make it around 9 o'clock. Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That completing this, we'll take the break, then start the two more examples still pending. Yes, yes, yes. Because yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. I'm also. It's like you see, I'm writing all those and explaining, taking time. These things are. I have given so many demos. I have all things. You can see, I have hundreds of examples are there in. I'm trying to write it live coding so that because you've said now you are from non-IT background. If you are from IT background, I would not have written those things. Means in that case, I would have directly given a demo. At least you have done something. But first, making the basic things understand, then you can do anything in Spring. It's a very interesting topic. And why it is so popular, you will see this. So I'm taking these things break. Once I complete, we have two more examples. I have to do it. Okay. So I think after break I will do it. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. See, I am taking for all the MNCs. Multiple MNCs I'm taking for so long time. So it's like not in India, also outside India, I've taken batches. Okay. Last tour was in Singapore. So that's also, so that's given a lot of this. So no problem. Okay. Currently, I'm in Chandigarh. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That is also there. Uh, okay. I will discuss this later. Let me complete. Otherwise, uh, first I have to debug because I'm writing those coding or something. I will, yes. Yes. Sure. Sure. I will tell you. Don't worry. Yes. 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 Not now. I will do it. We have 2 3 weeks to complete. No? So we'll give you all the details. Yes. Yes. What I was doing, employee. So now we have not done the SOP. Okay. So it's okay. Okay, I will give it. Let me complete. Yes, yes, yes. I'm working. Yes. Uh, so it's like a lot of MNCs I'm hiring and giving you. You want to know the company name? It's one of the big MNCs. Okay. Okay, I will discuss those things. Don't worry. Don't worry. Let me complete. Okay. So we'll do it. Okay, please. So those things we'll discuss. Don't worry. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So here we have not done in the SOPs thing. So without SOP, you can't get any output. Yeah, yeah. In Google. Okay, okay. Okay, Google. Okay, okay. So in SOPs, we have to write. So I'm writing employee. Okay, I'm see here it's error actually. Employee, not employee. We will access those getters, right? So get EMP ID. So this EMP ID, then we have the name of it. So let's write, otherwise plus you can do it, but I'm writing separately. System.out.println employee dot get EMP name. And the last thing, passport, we have the getters for the passport also, right? So in the passport, yes, so employee get this employee actually. Getters is get EMP ID, get EMP name, okay, and get this one, okay, password. It will come there. No problem. That's why so system.out.println employee. The curriculum is very high actually. You can see that 5 6 weeks we have to do all those things with these things. Definitely it's a challenge, but we'll do the best so that you can have the proper understanding of the topics, all the database things and the Spring REST, because Spring REST is one of the things which is very popular nowadays. Not only that, the JWT and microservices. So at least if you have done with the microservice, you will be 100% industry oriented. You will have no issue on the coding standards, because we'll explain you the drawback of each and everything, because we are doing a Spring applications, a Spring MVC, but we cannot share that code. So functionality wise, it's not separated. So we need the REST application service oriented. So we'll cover those things. Okay. So whatever the time we have, so we'll try to do it that much. Okay. So what was that? Get pass easy, right? So this I am doing with the SOP with these three things. Finally, if you want, you can close this. So context, it's optional. Close is there. No, yes, close is there. So we used the Java configuration. The main thing is like 2-3 annotations we have used. No, not much. One is this employee and passport. This you have to write at the rate component. Rest of the things are same. Okay, there is nothing different from previous things. Employee is also same. Here also we have the getter sectors. Only difference, because this is has a relation, we have auto wired it, so that we don't have to wire it explicitly in the configuration file. So it will internally manage those things. Implicitly, it will inject setter injection. So that you have seen this line, we have to not to write it. This one. And this at the rate configuration, it indicates that this class will contain more than one at the rate bean methods. So bean methods, this employee and passport, it will auto detect with the component scan will scan, because its configuration file has to understand where is the employee and passport located. So this scan things will scan the package, and when it scans, it gets this employee and passport. So it is for that two more annotations you need. One for to detect those component classes in the package, and this for to make the classes having more than one bean method. So we have this main methods, bean methods, and we are injecting the dependency here. Setter based injections. Here set EMP name, and this line we will not write. That's because of the auto wiring. And return employee, because it has a return type. So in Java, its return types are mandatory. Suppose when we are walking into the some park or something, so it's like a void type, and because it's I'm doing it's like a evening walk and all something. But when we are having talking to you, you say how are you? So you will say I'm good. So you are returning some value. So until unless you return the value, my method will not complete. So that is why some methods are of void type, some methods are returnable. So either data type or object type, you have to return. So here employee, when you are using the employee type, means return type, this is my access level, this is return type, this is method name, this is parenthesis. So this parenthesis denotes that it's a function. In Java, we call it a method. So it's a at the rate bean, means this is a bean method. So we are creating the object, but we'll call it employee bean, which will get bean let in the IOC. Okay, and the setter based injections, these things instead of set, when we set the value, then we have to get the value. Okay, that simply Java things which you are doing in encapsulation, etc. Setting the value and then retrieving the data. Setters getters are used for that purpose only. So setter injections are given here in this class, but have to retrieve that data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Ajay Kumar, this have to retrieve, and then the passport related dates. So it will two string method will return those dates. Okay, so that date it will return with the two string methods. Okay, so I think that method is actually driver class method which we have. Dates returning. I'm just thinking one more thing here. Okay. No, no, one more thing actually. This date will give me the long date actually. Okay, so I'm thinking of some, changing some date of passport. It's like something. Give me 1 minute only. I'm just thinking. Just give me 1 minute. Passport dot Java. What is the returning date? Here, one small issue is there. The date will return me such a long date. So I will customize it. Okay, I will do it after that. Okay, so I run it. Employee.java and configurations driver. Okay, so now run this one. I will configure the date things. See, thank God it's running the first time. 1234 Ajay Kumar, passport number. Now see, this is the long date. This I don't want. Okay, date of issue is June 12. This time IST, it's because of the date things. And the expiry is September 4. It's like a system calculated date, 84 days after that. But this date I will customize it. So you can see this get ID, get name. Third SOP was returning the passport details. So this one is returning the passport detail. But this one, just 1 minute. Okay, in the passport, here we can have some Java class also, so that it will minimize it. Just 1 minute. We have a simple date format class. Maybe you have heard about this simple date format SDF. This is very popular class in Java. In Java 1.7, new simple date format and customize. It has so many customizations options. Number of week, days of week, weekdays, like today Sunday. So everything is there. So I'm just currently going to customize by TDMMYY. Okay, so that's enough. And we have to import this class, simple date format. It's in Java text, it's correct. It's not in the date. Java is also evolved. You must understand, you've done the string, right? Then they bought the string buffer, then they bought the string builders. Earlier they have given the mutable, immutable things. Then the problem started with that. What they thought like it's efficient in the memory, it becomes a headache actually. It's blocking the memory. So then they migrate to the string buffer, where we can mute it. I mean, we can modify it. Then they've gone with the this synchronized things are not required all the time. So they've given the string builder. Here also date format, then simple date format, then the local date. It's like all the process. Java is also going from 95 onwards. Okay, so it's based on the feedback on all those things. They are bringing new APIs to make the things easier. One things like DDMMYY. So what we have done, this format SDF. So we will simply use something date of issue is there, na? So before that, we will use the format of this. Okay, so it has a method SDF dot format is there, na? Yes. So what I will doing is like long date. This one I will format to DDMMYY. Simply it's for this purpose one additional small changes I have done. date of expiry. Okay, date of expiry. It's the date of issue, not date of expiry. How it's taken this one automatically? And then date of expiry. So date of expiry also SDF dot format date of this one passport date of SDF. So date of issue and date of expiry. I am just formatted this one. Okay. So I think it's correct now. So it will be returning in DDMMO email. That's what. Okay. Now just go with the driver. This one. And let's see that it's convert to that. So date of issue now. Again, see Java is small things. Very close things are happening. This MM giving milliseconds. So they have capital one MM. These are the tricky things, but it's like you have ID facility which makes you one framework and second ID. If these combinations are such a nice combinations that you can write any type of coding with that help. So means I've seen these development aspects are very easy if you follow these things. Now you see 06. So the date which was actually getting that date class June 12 Sunday and IST something something. So that drawback was there with the date class. Not drawback, but the date class was like that. So simple date format has full of custom things. So Java introduced this class after having some feedback that it's a long date. So they've introduced the simple date format, which actually you can customize in any format, number of format at least. Even you want the weekdays, month, and all dates. So it will give you. And the calendar class is very useful for additional dates. So these things are actually required because scanner class, calendar class, date class, local date class. Please study that also in Java if you have not studied, because many places, many times you need those calculations of dates. Okay, and that's simply you can do with the API. For that you don't have to write any logic. They have given the API methods. You use it. More you use the API methods, code will be more lightweight, and it will give you more benefits. So that's why always prefer to use that. If there is something not there, you can. So let's see this one. It's written this, and I do the SOP get things. So it's printing this 1255, but these are the dynamic value. If I tomorrow I execute, it will change this value. Okay, 4th September. So you can see this is calculated. Maybe 84 days must be there. Okay. So this entire example is to make you understand like the XML configurations. Instead of that, we will write bean methods. And these bean methods, we can use the dynamic values instead of fixed set of value in XML. So XML is best choice for starting learning things because this will help you to identify the concepts actually. Because annotations you will not get that much. Annotations is full of abstractions. It is internally managing those things. But in XML, everything we have to write one by one. And first, it makes your concepts actually. If you directly go with the annotations, you will not understand what is the benefit of. So definitely it takes some more time to do those things, but process is process. We cannot do like starting things with auto wiring immediately. We have to make these things process one by one. That this is the steps like XML. We are writing property value constructor args. So and the wiring it with the reference. And in the starting example in aggregations, I have shown you that I am passing it in the constructor itself and calling it. But then it is through the XML with the reference I am doing. Now those reference I am auto wiring now. I am not doing it for setters explicitly. I am writing anything. So auto wired at the rate makes me that line of code also not required. And this way, if you see this Hibernate implementations, I have already said we have a session factory manager, and all those things. Then sessions, start sessions, close sessions, transactions, begin transactions. These lines of code you have to write in the Hibernate. But when we go with the JPA, all gone. It's full abstraction at the rate repository, at the rate service, and extend repository. Everything is behind its running. So more higher level, you will see more more abstraction, and that abstraction is really remarkable. So that's why one example, okay, with normal pure Hibernate implementations to give you that idea what is this actually. But preference of industry is the Spring Data JPA. Why it is? Because a lot of boilerplate code we don't have to write. Even the getter setters which I am writing it, they have given the Lombok library. If possible, I will show you that also. That means at the runtime, it will automatically generate the getter setters and the constructors. Those codes we don't have to write. Even the getter setter and constructors we don't have to write. We just simply declare the entity class, the model class, only the private variables. No constructor, no getter setters. So the Lombok, it will directly runtime, it will generate itself. So more line of code reductions are required. We don't go with that heavy 10 lines, 50 lines for that logic. Here you can see at the rate bean, at the rate component, it connects it. But if I do it directly, you won't get that. So XML file is the best possible way of starting things. So in the Spring MVC, I will show you with the dispatcher servlet also. Okay, through the XML. Then we'll go with the annotations. Then we'll go with the boot. Then you can identify the transitions. If you directly go with Spring MVC with boot, the advantages will not be able to get it. Boot is just booting the MVC, that's what. But the advantage, so XML to annotations to boot, those transitions, 3 examples, you will able to get these things, what is the benefit of the boot. Okay, so that is why the process cannot be straight away giving the things. I just believe like time constraints are always there, and it's like a business requirement. Based on that, we have to work on that. You have projects, upcoming projects, and starting times and all. Based on that, the curriculums are decided by the team and management. We don't have any on that any things to say because they have their own commitment and business point of view. So, but we have to learn it fast and deliver to the expectations of the client. And that challenge is really not any tough things. If you practice 2-3 times one code, next time you can able to help others also. And that helping and discussing will help you to remember the code for a long time. That is why the memory which we are having, we have to do it, practice continuously. And when you visit to a software development center, you will see the developers can talk to you and simultaneously they can write the coding also. So this ability is something which is not like one day it has come. It's like multiple times and months and years practicing those things. You can think also simultaneously, but talk to the person. So that kind of ability, it's going to develop with you. Okay, so that's the things. Okay, so here I would like to take a break for 20 minutes, right? And we'll move towards the next topic, that is to complete this concept of core, very small topics, bean life cycle, and the next one is what? Scope of the bean. Okay. So I will do it. I hope you have understood this example. I will share it also. Okay, in the drive itself. Today also I have not because I just was outside, just joined at 6:30 only. So yeah, annotation is done. This is what I noticed. Auto wiring. Okay, core part of the annotations is this one. That the has a relations whichever we have auto wired that thing. So it's over. And bean, what is the life cycle of the bean and the scope of the bean, singleton and prototype. That two things will complete these things of the core part. Then we'll go with the next level, that is ORM. Okay, that will consist of yes, yes, I will. Not now, please. Okay, I will share my email ID and we'll discuss in that. Okay. Yes, yes, yeah, please. Okay. So as per the policy guidelines, I will discuss. Okay, don't worry, don't worry. So nothing. So it's okay. So guys, I will take the break and we'll join after 20 minutes around 9:20, 25 around. Okay. So we'll complete the next two examples. And that is not a big example, simple example. So we'll able to do it. Okay. So take your dinner and then come back after 20 minutes. Okay. 9:20, 25, I will join. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.